Okay, so I'm going to warn you guys right now that for most of you this is probably a throwaway. But I just put bottom metal into a couple of these, and I wanted to show some of the moves that I use. This is the first one. This is kind of odd. This is not maybe what you see most people doing, but I put a bag over my hand. Insert favorite bag over my head joke here. And after pushing these in, let me check. Boy, I hope that color is not just too intense here. My hand is kind of freaking the camera out. Let me darken. This might work. Anyway, after pushing these in, it oozes out all the way around. And I take a toothpick and a little stick like this. I am gonna change that just a little so that it focuses on this mess here. I think I'm gonna darken this just a little so it doesn't just knock your eyeballs right out. Okay, hopefully this works. Anyway, after I push these in, there's a goober all the way around them on all of them because of the way that I do it. So I walk around with this, and the trick with this bag, the reason it looks like this is, you go along and you take a chunk off and you wipe it on the bag. You take it some more off. The trick with epoxy, always, is that it's wicked hard to get rid of all the excess. So this is the excess from this job. This also allows me later then to take this excess and save it or use it if I want, because it's spread thin. It stays pretty stable for quite a while. And then, after I've cleaned this all off, using a whole pile of Q-tips, which I keep here, and a small vial of white vinegar, and about 20 of these half-cup paper towels. These paper towels I use like this. I rip a chunk, I fold it over, and I take a wipe. I fold it again, and I take another wipe. I fold it again, and another wipe. And so on. Never use a surface twice, because even if it looks clean, it's not. There's a little brown stain on there. Don't need any brown stain jokes, but trust me, there's a little there. So you keep coming around, and when this gets down to the end, you throw it. Same thing with these. Quick, easy cleanup. You go around, I mash them off on the side, or on my fingers, it's vinegar, and just go find any spots that are looking dull, any spots where you maybe didn't get full cleanup. Hit it with the vinegar, and even if it doesn't come off correctly right now, like on these metal pieces, it'll wipe off later. The vinegar does a great job, because I just did this, both of these, with no masking whatsoever. I mean, we're talking puking out right all over the stalks. So that makes cleanup a little bit more critical than it would have been otherwise. Now I've got a spot back here. I said I can mix colors. These are the two colors that I have mixed for this right now. Play with focus here, see if I can get it correct. And right now I want a little bit of dark. So I took one of my little mixing palettes and I made myself some dark. Now it's warm in this room today. It's like 70 in here because it got wicked cold outside and I bumped the heat up just a little bit. So it's 70 plus in here, which means I mixed this particular batch of Acroglass at 20% instead of 25%. I'm going to be talking here while I put this in, so I'm probably going to have to stop and shut the camera off while I heal up this little area in here that is just big enough that I want to get a better color match. I'm swirling some color into a low spot where I slipped. But this color is essentially a perfect match. And so therefore, I'm building up a couple of little spots. The first stuff was a tiny bit lighter, and then I walked around it and put just a touch of black, stirred just a touch, not black, that darker color that you saw me with there. I stirred just a wee bit of that darker color into it. And that's it. Not much of a deal really, just I am so sorry I'm boring you with this touch-up. I just get going and... So, anyway, little mixing palette. Main mix here. I applied it using this bag, which is kind of interesting. Take a big Ziploc, mix up the mixture to the thixotropicity that you want. This is still gooey in here because, again, if you let it clot up, if you let it build up deep, it'll cook right off in the bag. I mixed this a little bit less hot, and I put a dollop in this bag, and I taped the corner, and I cut off what I need, and I rolled this up, and I used it like a cake bag. And I squirted into a bunch of areas that I wanted to squirt into. So, there's the bag, done, throw it away. Mixing palette, the trick with this mixing palette is just pick your stuff up off of it and leave it be. It'll get hard, it'll crack off, and it'll come away tomorrow, and you'll get your mixing palette back. If you try to clean it now, you'll do nothing but destroy all you'll grind it right in and you'll just wreck everything. So don't worry about it. That's a trick that we learned early in the concrete trade. In most cases, when you splatter something, just let it get hard, and the next day, I mean, don't do anything with it right now, and the next day after it's hard, it'll just flake off. And you can use a little soap and water and clean it up. Same thing here, only you don't use soap and water. But, I just wanted to, 10-minute throwaway video here, just because I'm putting these what I call chassis in here. I did a little expose earlier about how I get set up to cut these to get them in. Now that I've got them in and all flushed up, I go in and fix all my screw-ups, brush everything. I'm going to spend about 10 minutes now with the camera off going through and just brushing edges, putting a couple of swirls here where I have that little thick spot, going through and spending more time on cleanup. Trust me, more time on cleanup right now makes life much easier tomorrow. I want there to be no cleanup tomorrow. Tomorrow, I flip these over, I punch my holes down around this whole chassis, which is sealed in here most scrupulously. You can't see anything. And I drizzle epoxy all the way around the thing and just lock it forevermore, make it part of the stock. And then on the top of this, I may well go ahead and mud in both sides just to clean it up. This is all on what's now the bottom side, so doesn't mean anything now. I don't think I'm going to bore you with any of that, but I just wanted to show you what I was doing today because it might help somebody lose a little of their epoxy fear, because epoxy is scary stuff. And in this case, even though I say don't fear the epoxy, because if you inadvertently epoxy something into the wrong place, you can always heat it up and break the epoxy bond free. Well, that's true, but you are ruining your work. So, in this case, this being finished work, we don't want to ruin anything. And I can't state as a fact that this white vinegar works better than acetone. I've got a big old jug of acetone right there in the background, which you can't see. And that is the official solvent for Acroglass and most other fiberglasses. But that's neither here nor there. White vinegar does what I want it to do. It works extremely well for this cleanup procedure. And so that's why I'm continuing to use it. I think that's all that I wanted to have on this video. So, as I said, 10-minute throwaway, little epoxy cleanup, hopefully help somebody, tutorial. And I will get out of the way.